things that you'll remember forever. It'll turn into a positive memory. Remember when we did that in 2020? We were at that hotel in Vegas, and I don't know that, you know, one place is better than the other. I mean, Vegas better than Lubbock, but I mean they're in a hotel. Lobos football felt like you were seeing improvement every week, and I'm not sure you feel that same way with basketball. And I think that's going to certainly help as far as the feel of the whole journey, don't you think?
Yes, and I think with Lobo football, there was a better understanding of the situation. It was, this is our home for the next 7 weeks.
Yeah.
This is where we get to play and practice. This is what we're doing. Let's go. With basketball, it's we're Boise. Oh, we're back to Lubbock. Oh, we're going to stop in Albuquerque. No, we're not. Okay, we're going to go straight to here, and it is more of a challenge. And I think that because there's an uncertainty still, you look at the schedule. They haven't announced the rest of the schedule. They knew who they're going to play, but they haven't officially said, hey, this is what the rest of the season is going to look like. And so as a student athlete, you can understand maybe some of their frustration, why they were upset this week, when everyone else on the outside sees the writing on the wall. And we know this is what it's going to be the rest of the year. But when you're that dude that's just sitting there in that meeting room, day in and day out, going to your hotel room, practicing for an hour, going back to your hotel room, and they finally bring it down like, oh yeah, by the way, we're just going to keep on doing this, and then you're not seeing results from that.
Yeah.
So you can have a moment like yesterday where it said, his team finally hit a wall for the first time this year.
All right, let's go to it. 505-246-0610. Hello, Rudy. How you doing?
Doing okay. People that want to quit and give up, that's their prerogative. But there's basketball games to be played, and there's lessons to be learned. And the commentators said it the best last night. The difference between the football team and the basketball team is nobody was using Sam Boyd Stadium, except the Lobos, until other people caught on. But the Lobos were there. They could practice there. They had a place to practice. They get 2 hours in somebody else's gym.
Yeah.
That's not practice. You can, if we were back home at 10 o'clock at night, the kids could walk across the street and put up all the shots they need to work on their game. They can't do that right now. So expecting UNM to win a basketball game with one hand tied behind their back, literally and figuratively, it's just an untenable situation. It's untenable. We're not talking about 41 days. When this is all over, it's going to be over 90 days, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's going to be a whole basketball season, which is a hell of a lot longer than 7 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. So, the governor needs to relent, get the Aggies and the Lobos back home, let them practice in their own gym, and you'll see a marked improvement. That Utah State's a really good basketball team, and this is a good basketball league this year. It's not the Big Ten. By the way, did you see Michigan destroy Minnesota?
I didn't, but I saw a score. Yeah.
The game wasn't even as close as the score indicated. I've never seen a Michigan team play defense like that. Juwan Howard has those guys really playing at a high level. But my whole reason for the call was to remember just for a minute Rich Allday and what he did for Lobo baseball and what he did for everybody in this community and what he sacrificed. And, I used to go out there and cook hamburgers in between doubleheaders for the kids so that they could at least get a meal. And Rich always appreciated that. And somebody tried to turn me into the NCAA saying I was given an improper benefit, which is about the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But there was this kid one time standing at the end of the line waiting for a hamburger, and it turned out to be Ambrose Allday, and that's how I got to meet Ambrose. And he was the most polite, courteous kid. Poor Norma, she's now lost her son and her husband, so prayers for Norma Allday. And I always remember Rich fondly because that's the only time in my life I ever got tossed from a game against San Diego State when Mark Gulsett hit back-to-back Grand Slam home runs, and my buddy who's passed away called the ref an idiot, and the ref thought it was me, so I got the umpire. So I got run from that game. That's one of my favorite memories of Lobo baseball back then. But it was an 18-1 slaughter, and he had teams that could really hit the baseball, and he had some great players and some great teams. So, on a really sad note, I'm sorry he's gone, and I'm sorry that I didn't get a chance to see him again. But prayers for Rich Allday and his family. Thanks for the time.
Yeah, no, it's a great story, and JJ, I said this earlier. Rich was one of those guys where I've never heard anybody say a bad word about him. You know, when his time was up and they made a decision to make a move and move on. Ray Birmingham took the job, and Ray had great things to say about Rich all day yesterday. There was still. It's not often you move on from a coach after, what was it, 17 years, and you know, somebody doesn't have something. I never heard anything, and the players who played for him loved him, and it was just one of the good guys that you've had around here over the last 20, 30 years. Larry, good morning. You're on the Quan's Auto Care Hotline. Hello, Larry.
Good morning, fellas. Happy New Year. Thanks for taking my call. I was so happy that it went to Lobo Talk from Political Talk because I've said it many times. We turn to the sports animal just to get away from the life that's taking place outside of our doors, and it's our getaway. And thank you for getting to Lobo basketball. On your show, I've been on quite a few times with y'all, and I've said I'm from New Mexico. I am UNLV alum. So I went to UNLV the year after they won the NCAA. So sports talk back in Vegas is worse than Albuquerque because those fans believe that UNLV should always be in the talk show. They should always be in the mix for national titles. But that, I'm not going to be that one of the callers. I can't stand that. I hate that. But that was pretty emotional a while ago from that guy and saying that this coach can't coach. He's been a head coach of a couple Division I teams. You had a caller a couple days ago that was, I didn't know it was taking place with this team, but he said that this team had to go out and hunt for a gym just to practice in, just to be able to play in, and that no other team in the Mountain West had to go through that. And that last caller right there, you know, he pretty much said a lot of the same things, which was a great call, by the way, because just a great call, this last one. But for that guy to say that this team sucks, man, that's horrible. I mean, I'd have to ask that guy, look in the mirror, and are you really a Lobo fan? Because you're emotional for some good reasons, I'm sure, but you're really emotional for a lot of the bad reasons. When Coach Neal was here, I called in one day because they were callers were just hammering Coach Neal and his son. And I said, you know, do you think that Coach Neal and his staff sits down at the table and they put together a plan saying, you know what, how can we screw this up any worse? How can we anger our fans and our fan base and the university? No, they didn't do that. They tried to put together plans and have these young student athletes, these young men go out and execute. And a lot of times it would work, and a lot of times they'd be on the hardwood with just sometimes a better coached team or a more athletic team. These boys, these young men that are playing right now out of Texas, they're facing that times 10. These kids don't even they don't even get to lay down in their own bed. That last caller got off the phone, and he can go to McDonald's or go to wherever he wants to get his food, and tonight he's going to go home and lay down in his bed. These kids don't even have that. So, I don't know. I would say, hey, guys, Lobo Nation's I don't know. It's a different year, obviously, because of COVID. But if you're really a Lobo fan, quit bagging on the coach, quit bagging on these young. Anyway, guys, thanks for taking the call.
So, JJ, this is where I'm really trying to find the line, because everything Larry and Rudy just said is right, and I'm really trying to figure out the weight of they got a late start. What Larry just said, what he didn't even talk about is the fact that they're starting 2.5 months later than everybody else because they couldn't practice here. And that the fact that they don't have their own gym, and they can't just get a gym because of COVID, right? Because everything's got to be cleaned and scrubbed, and so you can't just. Everybody else can go to their facility and go shoot. You know, to wait the two. I know what I'm watching. Everybody else is getting better. I'm not circumstances how much better they can get, and so I'm struggling with how to weight this season and how to judge it.
Yeah, I'm not going to ever this year call out any of the players on this team and say, well, you're just not doing enough. Because of I'm not going to do that to these players, because they are doing everything they can in this situation to try to get better, to try to execute said plan, and it hasn't been working in Mountain West play. And the reality of the situation is, they could continue to struggle it could be harder for them to get through that because of the limitations, and you have to acknowledge it. It's one where it doesn't have to be one or the other. You can see, yeah, there's some deficiencies in this team that does need to change, but also look at it like the energy in the second half coming out, still trying to play hard. What we saw to Keith McGee and Rod Brown, but it just gets to a point where right now there's only so much they can do, and then they get overwhelmed on the basketball court.
Yeah, and I think part of it is you're disappointing year, right? You're coming off of maybe 2 disappointing years, and so I think there's no other comparable situation except for New Mexico State, and they're not playing, right? They haven't played it. They played 1 game in a month. There's no one else to compare this to. Nobody else is going through and gone through what they're going through in the country. So all you have to compare it to is what you saw last year, and you're saying, man, I went through these 2 down years, and now I'm watching what I'm watching, and they got beat by 30 twice in the first, 30 plus twice in the first 5 league games. And you're scratching your head. Well, are there reasons? Are they excuses or are they explanations? And you got to sort through it, and I'm not sure how you figure out, really what the truth is and how you evaluate it. Got to take this break. We'll go back to it. Jerry Palm from CBS Sports will be with us coming up at 8:30. Tetons, one of the finalists for the week.
Don't sacrifice core in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
It's his second field goal. He's got 4 points. Watson, though, goes all the way.
Hit the deck, I should say. Cordova tried to throw it off. Romero, a 3 for...
Set out to Jutapia. Nice move behind his back. It's a good... Here's Ramos, step back, high arcing, twine! But he needed to get his legs back under him. Ooh, little kick.
Up top! Yes, and the finish for Akbayosi. Saved into the hands of Riak, ahead of the pack to Davina Lovato. Up high, down hard for Akbayosi. Out of the corner, Casals, the 3, no, Katenge! Let me clean up the Steve.
Oh my gosh.
There's the long 3.
Boom.
Bang! Martinez will beat the buzzer. Got it to go!
Ford driving kick, 3's in the air, it's good.
Nice pass on the nice block by Hernandez Crawford.
And Brown in the transition. But why not, Steve? Is Corbalan's gonna go when he puts it away. And Corbalan wants to put it down. Features Brown. You can't leave him alone. Put it down.
Krishan and Dren's going to go all the way. Whoa, more. Played over to Madrid. Plays it across the box off the dasher. It's settled. Shot up by Garcia. Trickles in. Goal.
Chavez blocked at the rim. And here's Dorian Lewis to Watson.
All right, you got NFL playoffs this weekend. Lobo basketball tomorrow after a 77-45 loss yesterday. Of course, Lady Lobos are on pause, as you probably know, or maybe you don't know. There was a COVID positive result within their controlled environment, so they are on pause. They were supposed to be in Logan this week to play the Utah State Aggies, but that will be, it's been postponed, not canceled. Last night, 77-45, and it's always interesting conversation when it comes down to this. Is it the coach? Is it the players? But to me this year, there's the added piece of there was no camp or whatever. The lead up, the 2-month lead up, because of this state, they're behind. It's not arguable that is a factor. I guess what you've got to decipher, and really, Eddie's got to do it at some point, is how much of a factor is their lack of practice time leading up to it and now during the season, as opposed to lack of are they very good? Dean says this is Dean, appreciate it. This is a new voice that's in. Lobo's just not competitive. How many years does a coach need? How many years has Coach Smith been at Utah State? He replaced, I think, Duria, which basically and is an issue, but so far an empty pit. And so there's plenty of Lobo fans where Dean is. They were done with Paul before. It's because of the track record is Paul's being judged on this. I just how much should you weight the situation in evaluating this coach?
Is he past the point of no return for some people?
Yeah,
And
no,
the answer is yes.
Yeah.
And it's like that email. It's, I don't think they want to not acknowledge the situation, but even in a perfect world right now, there's a lot of people that I don't think just trust them to get it right.
Okay, and I brought this up before, and I just got this email from John, and I asked you this last week. I said to you, the Lobo women are under the same situation, and they're 4-0. Okay, so this is where I'm struggling, and they're pretty new too, right? I mean, there's a lot. I don't know if their roster way better than me. Is the Lobo women's roster as proportionately new players as the Lobo men? It's not. Okay, John said on the Lobos, well, I'm listening and actually quite impressed with how you're justifying the Lobos' play. First, the women are under the same circumstances and they're undefeated. Two, if this is too much for Weir's team to handle, well, bring them home and cancel the season. Look, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Am I justifying it? Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. I'm trying to get to a point where, it's hard to watch, man. It's hard for me to watch. I sat and watched it last night. I told you the other day, what was it, Saturday night? I was like, I wanted to do something else, but I had to watch it. Audra and I wanted to watch a movie or watch some more Cobra Kai or something, and I'm like, she's like, really? And that was the first time she's ever kind of looked at me like that, right? I mean, she knows what I do, but it's been hard to watch. So I'm not trying to say, look, they're really good. They just haven't had practice time, because I don't know that I think they're very good, JJ.
The point on the women, they have shooters. Like, this is
okay.
Like, they had shooters coming into the season. The Lobo men don't have shooters.
Why?
Really, that has nothing to do with practice at this point. For amazing acquisitions coming over, Jalen De La Cerda. So they had people on the roster where it's not a ton of turnover, and this is a team that you're seeing, well, maybe they need to play a certain style. It's going to take them time to get there. Then you compound that with the lack of shooting that they have. And the why is that's the players they recruited, right? That's who's on the roster. I'm not in a situation where I want to make a ton of excuses. You have to acknowledge it. Like, it's why is it wrong to say it's hard on college kids to do this? Like, it's not easy on the women. Yeah, they've been winning, so it seems easier. But you look at Antonia Anderson, she says that this sucks. We practice and then we can't leave our hotel room. But they've won, so it's like, oh, they're handling it great. It's okay to acknowledge the challenges and not look at everything as an ultimate excuse and you're just bending over backwards to make it seem better. No, it's addressing the reality of the situation, as you constantly say, is how do you weigh what's going on to get to the point where ultimately, kind of the emailer's point, if you're going to ask them to play, then you're still going to hold them to the same level of expectation as a fan.
Yeah, or he says otherwise, bring them home and cancel the season, which, you know, then do you quit? You say, all right, we can't handle it. We're not good enough. Let's just throw it in. So here's the other side of it. Larry just sent me a note. It says Lobo Nation needs to relax. We're watching the effects of the pandemic and our governor's selective application of the health order on college athletics in New Mexico. Selective in terms of New Mexico United did not have to completely relocate. They were able to leverage medical clause to bubble and practice in New Mexico between matches. Why is one team allowed to do that and not another? I think we can all figure it out. New Mexico United is on the good side of MLG. Coach Gonzalez adamantly said football could have bubbled in New Mexico. It's just unfortunate that amateur athletics are not treated the same as the pros. You know, this would be interesting. And I don't know what the point would be, but what if they were able to practice at home but still had to play all their games on the road? Would it be different? Like if they were able to practice before the season started and still be at home and still go into their facility but have to travel for everything, would it be different? I don't know the answer, man. I don't disagree with Larry's comment, by the way, that they've been treated completely differently than the soccer team was. And we're going to come up on a soccer season again, and they're going to get the same treatment. They're going to be allowed to train. And I think it's going to be tougher this time around after UNM football and basketball was not allowed. if United is allowed to do everything they were allowed to do last time. But that's another conversation for another day somewhat. All right, we got to take this break. Jerry Palm's going to be with us when we come back. College football playoff final. The championship game is on Monday. It's going to be Alabama and Ohio State. We'll talk to Jerry about that. We'll talk to him about the state of college football, what we saw last week, Heisman Trophy, all of that stuff. 9 o'clock, Teton Saltis will be with us. He's a finalist for the Werfel Award, which will be handed out tonight. It's the opening drive on 95.9 FM and AM 610 Sports Animal.
Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms, and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rollins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
Played over to Madrid. Plays it across the box off the dasher. It's settled. Shot on by Garcia. Trickles in. Goal.
Chavez blocked at the rim. And here's Dorian Lewis to Watson.
Shot on and just wide. Big deflection. Goal.
With this first field goal. Look at that. That's gorgeous.
Not a game you can go have 25 turnovers in and win.
Get that out of here, Watson says. Here comes Hodnett all the way. He's blocked in return. batting it off. He did, and he hit it. They're really Olivares. Wild three, and it hit.
Another steal nearly by Hiron. It is a steal. Avalos ahead to Hiron. The two-hand hammer by Hiron. I knew he was going to put that one down.
ProView Networks tonight.
District matchup there.
Davidson took it away in transition. Might be time for a jam. Yes.
Oh!